welcome to the Rebel Baker's first YouTube video of how to make gluten-free sourdough bread. I am not a professional videographer and do not plan to be, so please excuse my video skills. So we're here in my kitchen and we're gonna make a loaf of gluten-free sourdough. I'm not an expert, I'm a novice. I'm an experimenter. I did not follow the rules that I was given for a month. And then I decided to follow the real recipe, word by word. And it seems to have worked out. So, here's the process. I will try to make this as quick as possible. We start the night before. It is almost 7 o'clock. I highly suggest, oh, the lighting's bad in here, but I highly suggest having a glass of wine in hand. It's helpful the night before. So again, these are the necessities you need. If you don't have a kitchen scale, buy one. My mother-in-law-to-be bought me one, and it was the best thing ever to be a semi-professional baker here. So you need a bowl. You want to put the bowl on there. You want to tear out the scale. And then what we have here is my wine, so regular sipping on that, piece of my fridge that I don't know where it goes. And then the starter. So my starter is pretty much generally always active. I feed it every few days. I think you don't have to feed gluten-free starter every day like you do with non-gluten-free starter, with glutinous starter. So I'm just mixing it up to get the water in there and get all of the flours. I use a metal chopstick. You can use some sort of sterilized object, okay? So again, nothing's perfect. I don't do the measurements perfectly. I try as good as I can. But so what we're doing right now is just doing the leaven. So we're making the leaven and it will sit overnight. I don't really know where to put this right now, so we will put it here. We'll just put it on the table and get the table dirty. So I pour in 100 grams. Whew, that was pretty close. 101 grams of starter. And then we grab I need like a little holder. They have all these like fancy phone holders, so you don't have to be one-handed to do this, but it's okay. So with this, I grab just some nice Natural Grocer organic cornmeal. It's one of the mini flours that we're going to use in this process. If you don't have gluten-free starter, I have gluten-free starter. I'm going to try to grow it. So many people are asking for it, but it's pretty easy to start. You can Google it. So then you do 100 grams of flour. So I'm just watching the 100 grams. I'll like speed this up or something. Maybe I should have been time-lapsing this. I don't know. For anyone that actually watches this whole thing, congratulations. Okay, and then other necessary ingredient, 100 milliliters of water. This water doesn't have to be warm or lukewarm. It could be cold. Pour it in. I use the not so sterile, but semi-sterile because it was just on my kitchen table, which was clean prior to this. To mix it all together. Again, like you probably want to use a fork or some sort of like. That's it for the leaven. From here, you're gonna cover it with plastic. I'll cover it. You can see my mouse hole that I have cleaned and covered with tape. And then cover it on up with this nice little guy. Put it in the oven. My oven's actually hot because I just made food, so I'm gonna wait to put it in there, but then you... All right, good morning. The leaven has been hanging out for 12 hours. So, you know, in the recipe, I think he says it's maybe 8 to 10. Well, I did 12. If you do it shorter, it won't rise. Some of you have figured that out. So let me show you what it looks like. So you may or may not notice the difference, but it is actually all bubbled up. If I poked it right now, you could see the different bubbles. This is everything that you're gonna need. Coffee. It's morning time. all about what beverage you've got. So we've got the leaven, 300 milliliters of lukewarm water, potato starch, psyllium husk. I use psyllium husk powder. You can also use just the psyllium husk. I've been experimenting with which one I actually think helps rise better, but that's like the gluten. That's like the sticky part of the bread. Brown rice and oat flour. For you gluten-free folks out there, so oats are technically gluten-free, right? But they're technically not gluten-free if they aren't processed in a gluten-free facility. I'm not like, I don't get sick from it, so make sure it works for you, and salt. Okay, so then we're gonna get another bowl and mix the flour. So super simple again, start with your teared out, whatever this is called, kitchen scale. And you're gonna do 100 grams of each flour. So this is brown rice flour. Again, I'm like not too picky. Okay, that was like a little much, so I'll probably spoon that out. So basically 100 grams. Again, you can be as picky as you want. It's probably better if you are. Here's 100 grams of oat. I know you probably don't need to see me shake a bag, but okay, so that was like a little bit much. Again, just scoop some out, whatever. So clearly doing this one-handed, I get why all these video people have things to hold this. Okay, and then 100 grams of potato starch. You can use tapioca. I used tapioca before. It's great, works fine. Potato's a little cheaper. So, but you do just want some sort of starch. And then I'm gonna do psyllium husk. You do 30 grams of psyllium husk. So again, this is like the binder. And then 15 grams of salt. Bam. And whisk it all together. And then we'll add it to the leaven, and we'll add it's all whisked together. Now I'm gonna mix it in with the leaven, and then I'll add the 300 milliliters of water. So you're gonna add a total of 400 milliliters, and know that if you're using different flours, you're gonna use more water or less water. Most likely more water. Yeah. So it's all mixed together. I might add a little bit extra water just so that it has enough to rise. But again, it's just kind of going to get the feel of it and experiment. So you can see it looks nothing like sourdough, like regular sourdough. You're not kneading it to now we're going to let it sit. So you're going to cover it again with plastic, with a towel, and let it sit for 45 minutes. And then you're going to add the other 100 milliliters or so. You might want more, and we'll knead it. So that's step 2. 8 to 12 hours later. Magical. Okay, so 45 minutes has passed. Nice and warm in there. My piece of tape. So now I'm gonna add another 100-ish, maybe just start with 50 since I added an extra 50. And I'm actually gonna knead it, so it'll be sticky, it'll be kind of gross. Okay, well, that's as good as I got. Make sure to wash your hands. And I just kind of smash it in there. So it's gonna be pretty wet. So I really only did like 50 milliliters more. But that's a total of 400 milliliters. And I've just kind of been doing it off of feel. So it's pretty sticky, but there's still a lot of dry spots in the middle. It's gonna feel sticky. It'll set a lot more when it rises. So with this dough, like you're not gonna see a noticeable rise after you knead it and after you let it sit for a few more hours. It's not really how it works. Again, I'm not really familiar with the real sourdough world, but this would be way too sticky, I think, for that type of sourdough. So it's different in the gluten-free world. So it's pretty sticky, but still like movable. My hands are definitely dirty, but you know, so. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. And then I'm gonna cover it back up and let it sit for 2 hours. You can do 1 to 2 hours. Also, I like to set it somewhere warm, not like on the fire, but near the fireplace, because it's cold where I am, so. Okay, so we're almost ready to put it in the oven. Not quite yet though. We're gonna set the oven to bake at 480. If you have a convectional oven, what I do is I do convection bake for 480 for the first 30 minutes and then regular bake at 400 with the lid off for 30 minutes. So that's where we're gonna start. You can see. When it's heating, put the Dutch oven or whatever you're gonna bake the bread in to the oven. So you wanna make sure that it gets to temperature. So once the oven reaches 480, then we'll transfer the bread. Okay, so the oven is ready, almost. And we're gonna transfer the dough into this here parchment paper. Wax paper, not wax paper, just parchment paper, regular, like baking paper, whatever that shit's called. So the dough has risen. It looks quite nice. It's a little, maybe it looks a little sticky, but maybe not. I get a spatula of some sort and kind of move around it just so it's easy to move. And then I'm going to transfer it onto the parchment paper. Boom. Looks really good. It's got nice air bubbles. Maybe you can see it better here. Boom, that looks great. And then I am going to put it in the pot and then we'll cut it. Okay, so I transferred it into my Dutch oven. If you have this is kind of like a small Dutch oven. If you have a bigger one, that's great. I might actually be like halting my bread from growing more in the oven, so. And then just grab a nice sharp knife, and I just cut pretty deep, and you can kind of cut as you want. Just cut nice and deep. Sharp knives are really key. Symmetrical is good, as much as you can. One-handed again. And then that way it will be able to open up. Nope, you didn't really get to see that, but you know, whatever. So you can see kind of symmetrical cuts. And then I'm gonna cover it, put it in the oven for 30 minutes. The alarm will go off, and then I'll take the lid off, move the temp down to 400, and for another 30 minutes. Now's the time. We pull out the loaf and see what it looks like. Ooh, it looks pretty good. It rose a lot. It looks pretty good. That's my hand for relative size, but it rose quite a bit. I probably could have cut it a little bit deeper, I guess, for a few more of these lifts. Again, I think the size of my Dutch oven is just kind of a little tiny for the amount of dough I'm making. But it looks good, and it's nice and hard on the outside, so it doesn't like, you know, I think regular glutinous sourdough gets like pretty crisp and burnt on the outside. I haven't done it more. Probably could bake it more. So, woohoo! There we go. So that's gluten-free sourdough baking with Lindsay Gurley. It's very concise. If you have any questions, reach out. Again, make sure with the oven that you're doing 30 minutes at 480 covered, and then turning it to regular bake at 400 degrees for 30 more minutes. I didn't show you that part because I was trying to multitask and work at the same time. Anyways, I hope you enjoy. Let me know how it goes. And thank you for watching this entirely extremely long video.